what y'all come up with. Have a good one.
Dans tous les liquides que l'on boit, si le ciel tombe, que la mer monte, ça ne sera que justice. Y'a trop d'orgueil dans les hommes actions, frère, l'être humain n'est que caprice.
Welcome to Pass the Beat number 4, this time with David Osei. And we've also got Harvey Drums. As usual, add your own flavor to it. Post your video online and tag Urban Science. Use the hashtag #PassTheBeat. Also, we've been putting a list of recommendations on the Google Drive of different software to use, as well as some links to tutorials and all this kind of thing. And if you have any other software suggestions, please do send us so we can share this with other people. We've also started an artist interview series that's going to take place every single Thursday and feature members of Urban Science. Find them live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we have been updating archive, and you can find many old Cypher sessions for your enjoyment. So that's it. Send us your new versions of Pass the Beat number 4. Very interested in seeing what y'all come up with. Have a good one.
Dans tous les liquides que l'on boit, si le ciel tombe, que la mer monte, ça ne sera que justice. Y'a trop d'orgueil dans les hommes actions, frère, l'être humain n'est que caprice.
Welcome to Pass the Beat number 4, this time with David Osei. And we've also got Harvey Drums. As usual, add your own flavor to it. Post your video online and tag Urban Science. Use the hashtag #PassTheBeat. Also, we've been putting a list of recommendations on the Google Drive of different software to use, as well as some links to tutorials and all this kind of thing. And if you have any other software suggestions, please do send us so we can share this with other people. We've also started an artist interview series that's going to take place every single Thursday and feature members of Urban Science. Find them live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we have been updating archive, and you can find many old Cypher sessions for your enjoyment. So that's it. Send us your new versions of Pass the Beat number 4. Very interested in seeing what y'all come up with. Have a good one.
Dans tous les liquides que l'on boit, si le ciel tombe, que la mer monte, ça ne sera que justice. Y'a trop d'orgueil dans les hommes actions, frère, l'être humain n'est que caprice.
Welcome to Pass the Beat number 4, this time with David Osei. And we've also got Harvey Drums. As usual, add your own flavor to it. Post your video online and tag Urban Science. Use the hashtag #PassTheBeat. Also, we've been putting a list of recommendations on the Google Drive of different software to use, as well as some links to tutorials and all this kind of thing. And if you have any other software suggestions, please do send us so we can share this with other people. We've also started an artist interview series that's going to take place every single Thursday and feature members of Urban Science. Find them live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we have been updating archive, and you can find many old Cypher sessions for your enjoyment. So that's it. Send us your new versions of Pass the Beat number 4. Very interested in seeing what y'all come up with. Have a good one.
Dans tous les liquides que l'on boit, si le ciel tombe, que la mer monte, ça ne sera que justice. Y'a trop d'oreilles dans les actions, frère, l'être humain n'est que caprice.
Welcome to Pass the Beat number 4, this time with David Osei. And we've also got Harvey Drums. As usual, add your own flavor to it. Post your video online and tag Urban Science. Use the hashtag #PassTheBeat. Also, we've been putting a list of recommendations on the Google Drive of different software to use, as well as some links to tutorials and all this kind of thing. And if you have any other software suggestions, please do send us so we can share this with other people. We've also started an artist interview series that's going to take place every single Thursday and feature members of Urban Science. Find them live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we have been updating archive, and you can find many old Cypher sessions for your enjoyment. So that's it. Send us your new versions of Pass the Beat number 4. Very interested in seeing what y'all. Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir. And ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the 10th edition of our hashtag The Process interview series. Tonight, my guest is Marie-Ketely Gomes. It's going to be a pleasure to start speaking with her about her development as a musician and where she's going. First of all, I want to thank everybody who's donated so far. If you want to donate a little something, there are links below for donation, as well as our merch store and all that kind of stuff. And we do like these interviews to be interactive. So if you have any questions for Marie-Ketely, do not hesitate to throw something down in the comment, just so that we know that you're there, you know that you're alive, and I'm sure she'll have a lot of interesting things to say. So, like I said, Marie-Ketely is our guest tonight. She is I think the newest member of Urban Science, but definitely the newest bassist with Urban Science. You might also know her as a vocalist. The first couple of times that she came to the Cypher, she was coming as a vocalist, but you may not know that she also plays piano. I didn't know that until I started looking into it. She started, in fact, on piano at age 4. She went to Cégep St-Laurent in jazz voice, and now she finds herself enrolled in the McGill Jazz Performance Program as a bassist. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, make some noise for Marie-Ketely! Woo! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Pleasure to have you on the I don't know if I should call this a podcast. I don't know what these are. Anyway, pleasure to have you. And like I said, anybody, if you have questions, please shoot them down below. I thought I'd start just with kind of your musical upbringing a little bit. I know that at age 7, you placed 3rd in the Canimex Canadian Music Competition on piano. So I'd like to ask a little bit about just piano and starting up on that. Actually, why don't we start there? So you started on piano. Was it something that like you wanted to do, or was it something that it was like your parents were like, okay, you're gonna learn piano? Like, what was the story with that? Okay. Okay. Right. Right. The work. You're right. Absolutely. Oh, for some reason, oh, I'm sorry. We had a little issue with the audio there. I'm sorry. Can you just say something real quick?
Hello.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. That was a technical error on my part. I messed up there, but I'll resume it real quick. That Mary was just saying that she started taking lessons at age 4, or actually, why don't you just give that answer again? Because I don't think anybody would have heard it. I'm sorry to make you do that, but anyway, go ahead.
No worries. But yeah, basically, like at age 4, like my parents asked me if I wanted to do piano lessons. And I didn't really know what that was, but I also did. I don't really know what I was like thinking at that age, but I was like, yeah, sure. And then I went, and I would like hate going to the classes, but I also would hate leaving the classes. It was like it's 50-50, but I also really I just love like music and being in that environment. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think it should be good now. If there's any issues, please let us know. Yeah, so I guess my question, my sort of follow up. I know that you have some siblings, and so are you the oldest sibling or the youngest? Like, were you the first to learn an instrument? Do your other siblings learn instruments? Do your parents? Like, what was in the sense of like when they said, "Do you want to learn piano?" I guess you must have had a piano in the house already.
Actually, no,
not even.
at all.
Okay, so it was really so I guess maybe my question is more, why did your parents offer that to you as the beginning of your musical journey? Like, where did that come from?
So it was like, I don't know how to say, but like my mom had my younger sister, and I was also really an agitated child. Like I was really like active.
Sure.
So basically, like my mom had met this nun, like a nun in a convent, and she probably she told her like, oh yeah, I gave piano lessons. That's what I imagine. Right. And like she takes care of kids and whatnot. She's a nun. So then my mom was like, oh, perfect. Like I have like my child is like the perfect candidate for that. And then I just ended up there, and I would like always have lessons with her, like literally every single day. Like I wasn't like once a week. It was like every day after school. Okay. And on ped days, and like yeah, it was really like I think once my teacher like really saw potential in me, she just was like, okay, I'm gonna keep it. But also she was kind of like like a caregiver. Is that
I
what
see.
You call them?
Yeah.
Like taking care of kids, like taking care of like me as a kid. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess that sort of follows up the question then is, so because a lot of kids start at age 4, start young, but then they give up like a year later or whatever. And you just said that like they saw something in like you had some natural ability or whatever. To me, it's unusual to be taking lessons every day. Although I guess, like you said, it was kind of like an after school taken care of, but also yeah. But that's amazing. Like how. Well, I guess the question I should ask is like, at what point did you start to realize that you were really into music? And like, was it during those piano lessons, or was it at some point switching an instrument, or how did you discover like, oh my God, I'm really into this? Like, how did it go from being just lessons that I had to do, or not had to do, but just lessons, to become something more?
So I would say that it was really like it's pretty specific actually. Like at first I would just go, and my teacher would make me like practice and stuff, and I just like have pieces and whatnot. And I remember doing my first competition, and then like I got a participating medal, and I was like, okay, I got this like white medal that like everybody else got. But then I also know that other people had like a gold, a silver, and like a copper medal, and I was like, wait, I want that. Right. I don't really like. And then I remember as I was getting good, it was like around 5 or 6 years old. My teacher sat with me at some point after I had like finished this piece, and she was like, okay, now I really want you to put emotion into it. Like put emotion. I was like, wait, okay, what? Right. Like just like express. And then I remember playing, and then from there, I really skyrocketed in like competitions and like exams and like all those things. And I remember that was really that point where like music meant something more than just like going and like being taught by like a teacher and, you know, being around an adult, you know?
Right. So
it was really,
it was the competitions that really started to sort of open your eyes a little bit to where this could go. And I guess, so, you know, so like I said, you won third place at the Canimex. I'm wondering, at age 14, did you win first place in another competition? Like a local community competition?
Oh, like a Portuguese community competition?
maybe the Santa Cruz Tem Talentos.
Yeah.
Tell me about that a little bit. I Google all my interview subjects.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, at 14, that's really interesting. That was actually a year after I actually started singing, because, you know, I was just playing piano and stuff. And like, to me, singing was a thing of like, I don't know, it was like, oh my goodness, either you have it or you don't. Very like pop like perspective. I don't know how to say. But I just decided like, yeah, I want to sing, because like piano wasn't interesting me as much as like a classical thing. I was just like in the music that I enjoyed, it was just used as like accompaniment. I don't know the right word, but yeah, to accompany like the vocals and whatnot. So then I just started like singing, and I was really scared, because I really thought that like, oh my goodness, you have to be either Beyonce or you have no chance, you know?
Right.
So I remember I went there, and it was like the first time that I had sang in public, and I had like a ukulele. Wow. And I sang like I forgot, I was in like they running down to the Riptide.
Okay.
You know that song?
Yeah, sure.
Like super popular, extremely ukulele. And then I just sang that, and bro, I was nervous, like I was crazy nervous. And then they were like, wow, like, oh my gosh. And I was like, no way, they actually think I sound good. And then that really like gave me a lot of confidence to just like keep singing, because I really had this distorted like view on like what a singer could be. And
in what sense was it distorted? What do you mean by that?
Like I said, like literally that the spectrum is either like you have no chance, or you're like Beyonce and you can make it.
Right. That there's steps in between. There could be
exactly.
Right. So you spoke about something that I found very interesting. So you said, like, for example, on piano, you were finding yourself kind of stuck not stuck, but like that you're mostly accompanying other, you know, whether it's a violin or a vocalist or something like that. Did you once play Celine Dion's Une Colombe for Caminda Gamma?
I did. Wow. But
so
what
tell
I
me
find
about
interesting is that they wrote my name properly, so that means that you were able to find me.
I was able to find it.
Yes. My name. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I was using Portuguese to English translator to read these Portuguese newspapers.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so tell me a little bit about this though.
I actually don't really remember. I just remember that like it was for an event, like obviously a community event, and this younger girl, because I used to play organ actually at the Portuguese church like named Santa Cruz, and it wasn't gospel organ, it was very basic, like triads and stuff. So she was just like, yeah, my daughter wants I would like for you to accompany her, and I just would go to her house, and we would just practice together. I don't remember what I played, but I remember that it was a nice time.
So at what age was that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Like all of.
Oh, actually, I can probably tell you. Because the article is from 2014. So you were either 14 or 15, something like that. From what I know. Oh, I shouldn't have given away, but anyway, secrets of the trade. But I found that because I guess at that point you had started to learn how to, like, you know, because usually we start on like more of a classical approach. I don't know actually if that was your approach on piano, whether it was more of a classical, like reading notes and all that kind of thing. I guess at what point, or were you always kind of playing by ear, or what point did you start doing that? At what point did you start getting into like learning chord changes and chord symbols? Because you said like here you're just playing triads. At that point, did you know chord symbols and stuff like that, or no, not at all?
At all. I was just like really like coming from a purely classical background. I was like in I don't know if you know, but Vincent Stephen-Ong.
Yes.
Like I was in Vincent Stephen-Ong, and also in the Royal Conservatoire of Music, RCM, in Toronto. So those were like really the two things, like the two conservatories in which I was, and I was like doing exams in that, and as well as concerts and competitions within like those environments. So, yeah.
So I guess really my question is, how did you start to kind of learn, or were you playing by ear all the time, or what's like when did you start learning, you know, chord symbols and improvisation? Or I don't know whether you learned improvisation before chord symbols, or like how did that path begin? And maybe that's linked to bass playing. I don't know.
I totally is actually, because I didn't know anything about that. I was like, all I was trained to do was really read pieces and practice them. So I wasn't like, I also had ear training, of course, like classical ear training, but that wasn't really like the thing that, like, it wasn't really special, like, no offense. It wasn't really, it was very basic, ear training, and just start reading, nothing really creative, if I must say, you know. It was really like I only started getting into jazz like 4 years ago now, maybe.
Okay.
Right out of high school, and I had no idea about jazz like at all, and I also had no idea about bass at all. Like I was clueless. It's a bit shameful, but yeah, that was like really, and then it's really from there that like I started learning chord symbols, like all the jazz theory stuff, and the more elaborate topics of theory.
Okay, so that's interesting because, you know, the first time I met you, you'd come to the Cypher and you were singing, and then I don't remember exactly when, but then when you started coming on bass, it was clear that you had just started, and I was like, wow, okay, this takes guts, you know. So, but you started coming, and then, well, no, but you know, starting like very, very early to go to jam sessions, and then just, you know, because you just said like I maybe it was shameful or something. You said something like that, and to me, it's like it's not about like everyone started somewhere, you know, and everyone started somewhere. It's about the progress you make, and like the amount of progress that you've made on the bass from the first time that I met you until now. I just like holy, you know. So I'm very curious about how that came about. And then when I found out that you had played other instruments, like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense because, you know, she has kind of another background before. So I know that you studied at St-Laurent Jazz Voice, and then at some point you switched to jazz piano, and then you started taking bass lessons with Rémi-Jean Leblanc, no slouch, definitely somebody who knows his stuff. So how long have you been playing upright, for example?
Upright, I actually started this year, last year, September. So September 2019.
Okay, wow. Again, I'm so impressed because I mean, although Rémi-Jean is also an example of somebody like that, where he played electric for a long time, and then I believe Rémi-Jean's story, maybe you know actually, but I believe the story is that he got an upright bass and he went on a cruise ship, and then he came back and he was like, I can now play upright bass. So it was kind of one of those, he just kind of forced himself, you know.
He told me that he would go to like the park and like for 3 months just like go to the park and like shed tunes there, and I was like, wow, I'm going to do that,
right?
You know, so
yeah. So you know, so now you haven't started McGill yet. It starts in September, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah. And so I guess, you know, I mean, I have so many questions, but you know what? I'm going to start with a question that isn't mine. So I'll start with a question that isn't mine, which is, now that I have a little bit of a sense of like where you're coming from and all this, which is amazing. There was a question we got on Instagram. I'm just going to pull it up here, from Goofy Ja. I don't know who Goofy Ja is, but his question is, what are your top 3 bassists, and what effect did those bassists have on you?
Wow, that's a great question.
We can go either beyond
electric bassist.
I think we can go in any. Let's just start the conversation. It doesn't even have to be 3. You know what I mean? Okay,
right. I mean, I'm gonna start like in order of who really like got my heart into the bass. And like the first person honestly was Derek Hodge. Nice. Like I was like, once again, I had no idea what electric bass was, like the concept, like jazz, like all of those things. And I remember that the first time I heard him and I heard like his own project and like the way he played and his approach, I was really like mind blown, but most importantly, I was really touched, and I was like, okay, like this is a voice, like this instrument has like a voice, and I was really like drawn towards that. And then another one following up was Adrien Ferraud, actually. He's a French, very, very well known French bassist.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him.
I don't know.
Yeah,
him.
Adrien Ferraud.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Is he a jazz
really
guy,
amazing.
or is it a different scene, or
Yeah.
he's a jazz guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jazz guy, like very virtuosic player.
Okay.
And I remember I was listening to like his album on repeat when I was taking lessons with Rémi, actually, and that was something that really also propulsed me. So I'm like, yeah. So at first it was really electric based, and then I would say the third one was actually, I mean, I can't front. I love Thundercat. Like I'm really like I don't know. He really like I really loved his honesty. Like as a bass player, like he really. Like he was obviously like really expressive like in his solos, but I loved like his music in general, like very, very straightforward, and I was really drawn to that like straightforwardness, like as a bassist and a composer, you know. But I'm speaking mostly like bassist. It was like he really, I really loved like just his playing, and obviously his energy is very
right. He's got a whole style,
you know?
and yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you seen him perform live, or is this mostly just yes?
Yeah. I saw him perform live like once, and it was crazy. Like I love the energy, and I love like just the always pushing every single like all the time, and it's like really, really high intensity. I don't know. It's like just it's amazing. I love it. I love it, and I really look up to that. You know?
Yeah, I kind of discovered like the Bruner Brothers. I don't even remember when it was, you know, and I was like, oh my god, it's like the future of jazz. Like this was before there was a Thundercat, and I was like, oh my god, it's the future of jazz, you know. And then like Thundercat came on the scene and like started his whole thing. And at first I was like, oh. Because I was hoping he would like stay true to the jazz thing or whatever, but man, I am so into what he's doing. Like I think it's such an incredible. I don't even know how to describe the music necessarily. I don't know whether I should call it jazz or if I should call it like soul R&B or I mean, it's got so many influences from all over the place. So I've seen him perform live once. I went to a venue in. It doesn't matter where it was. Anyway, I went to see him, and the thing that got me is I feel like, so this is my only like kind of criticism of Thundercat. I love Thundercat, but I feel like the show was like this jazz bassist who had figured out how to make people watch bass solos for a 2-hour show. You know what I mean? Like normally that would never, you know. And he's like, okay, I'm just gonna take a ripping solo on every single song, and every song is gonna be like, you know, head solos head. That's actually the problem that I had. I mean, the bass solos were all amazing, so I didn't have, you know, but it's just the structure. It was just head solos head solos head. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I know you can do something. So anyway, that's my only. Yeah. But I think Thundercat is amazing. So sorry, you said Derek Hodge was the first kind of big influence that you had. And then the French guy whose name I can't remember. I'm sorry about that. And Thundercat. Do you have any upright bass influences?
Yeah, like my favorite at the moment is Christian McBride. Actually, I'm like I'm like I'm really into what he does. I love that energy. I really love like I love like the energy he puts into his playing, and it's very simple but also very like powerful, and I love that. Other than that, like for older people, I really love Ron Carter. I really like Ray Brown. I love Buster Williams. So far those are like really the ones I'm into and that I'm looking into as well. So
yeah. I mean, it's quite a range, you know, to have somebody, especially, you know, whatever of you. Like, I actually realized this the other day that I'm more than double your age, and I just realized how freaking old I am. You know, anyway, whatever. But what I was gonna say was that, and this is not trying to like, you know, because I hated it when I was a young person, like, oh, as a young person, you know. But what I mean is that, like, you know, somebody of your age who's into both Buster Williams and Thundercat, You know what I mean? Or Ron Carter and Thundercat. Like, I think that's amazing. I think it's great that like people today have such a huge breadth of artists that you can be checking out. You know what I mean? There's just so much, you know, going on. So we do have a question here. I'm gonna get to another question. We have a question from Theo, of course. Theo is watching the stream. Shout out to Theo, and he says, "Tell us about your first bass. Tell us about your first bass."
Oh wow! Okay, he hit the spot.
Okay, what's the story? What's the story?
Okay, so wow, that's actually a story. So so when I decided to like start playing bass, I didn't have a bass. I was just like, I want to do it, but I didn't have one. And Theo asked Joblet, which is an electric bass player in Montreal.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him, but if he could like, if he had a bass that he could like that I could borrow or whatever. And then he did. So then I started off using that bass, and I didn't know like anything about basses. I was just like, I have a bass, I'm gonna start practicing right now. But I remember like going places and stuff, and people being like, this is like a pretty crappy bass.
Right.
And it was like, yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know. I just was like, do the best I could with that. It didn't really have the best sound, but I also didn't have the ears to like realize that, you know, at first. But then eventually when I really took the conscious decision that like, yeah, I'm a bassist. Like that's what I want to do, like 100%. My mom
and did you have something that made you like, because I always wondered about that myself, in the sense of like I started on piano and then I, you know, started doing saxophone, but it was kind of like saxophone. I picked it up because it was the only instrument I was able to play. Like in high school we had a day where we would try different instruments and I couldn't get a sound out of the trumpet and whatever. So I'm kind of curious about that. Like you're like, man, bass is my thing. Like what made you come to that realization?
Well, to be honest, like I don't feel that I chose the bass. I wasn't looking for any instrument at all. It might sound like cheesy, but I really feel that the bass chose me. Like I remember just like I was like, you know, I was in cheer. I was like, oh yeah, like I'd like to play it. But I remember the first time like I held the bass and I played like that first note, I just was like, okay, well this is it. Like it's really over. Like I just went with that, and yeah, there was just like I don't know how to say, like it just went by, and like I got a bass, and like I borrowed a bass, and then my mom actually eventually bought me a bass, like after me telling her that I really wanted to pursue that, and yeah, just from there.
And that was kind of
all the way until then.
Yeah. Well, so at the beginning when you were learning, was it, I guess you weren't taking lessons, or were you taking lessons at the very beginning, or was it just kind of like you were just messing around? You borrowed the bass from Joe Blais. Oh, I know who that is. I totally know who that is. Joseph Blais. Yeah. And then just kind of started going. I think it's like, you know, there's certain instruments where it's like there's a tradition of like you must, like, how many people really like just kind of pick up the violin, I guess, except for like folk fiddle. I was going to say violin, like usually, but anyway, the point is usually on violin you start with lessons or Suzuki method or whatever, but bass and guitar are those instruments that kind of like you start by just doing, you know, and getting into it, and then eventually once you get kind of past a certain point, it's like, okay, maybe I should learn what the heck I'm doing, you know. And then you also had all your training from other instruments that kind of helped along the way. So you started taking bass more seriously. You really kind of found that as your voice, shall we say? And I guess I want to ask, because in your list of influences, you didn't mention. I'm trying to find. You didn't mention Bubby Lewis. Can you tell me who Bubby Lewis is?
Well, Bubby Lewis, he's like electric bass extraordinaire. I think that's the best way to describe him. He was somebody that I just started knowing about when I went on Instagram. I didn't really know much about him, and he's just part of, like, how do I say, that group of people that just really inspired me and to like just push forward. Like he really had and he also had like a similar story to mine, where he started when he was like older. I mean 17,
okay.
like older, I guess, you know. And yeah, he's really like an inspiration in that sense. And I remember like I don't know if it was last year, but actually it was last year. I had taken one lesson with him like in February, and it was just like really, like, it was really life changing, but also
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, that's all it is, you know. Really very simple and straightforward, like, information and tips on bass that he had given me, just like, you know, on practicing like what you want, you know, and like just kind of, yeah, I don't know how to say, like, very, very, like, I don't know how to say, but things that just remove anxiety that you have, like, as like a student or like
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's like in a scene, things like that. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about more specifically what kind of sort of tips that came out of that lesson that were particularly valuable?
What? Well, like the main one that
Mm-hmm.
like just I keep applying is just like practice what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's like practice what you want, like just do whatever, like
Sure,
have no
sure,
discipline.
sure,
I
sure.
think it's just um like just kind of like just do it, you know, just go ahead and practice what you know you need to practice and just do it. And like also like taking time to just like play, you know, just playing like without any
Right.
purpose to, you know, he didn't really say why, but I kind of understood why by just, you know, playing and understanding that it like it keeps you connected, you know, and it keeps like, oh yeah, I'm playing music, you know, because I don't know, doing like a lot of disciplinary things like your scales and your
Mm-hmm.
arpeggios and whatnot can remove the music from the context of practice. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that has come up in a couple of these interviews. Well, you know what? I should mention this because you're about to go into school. Not that I think that school is bad, but I think that one of the things that has come up in a couple of these interviews is that sometimes when people go to school, when they come out of it, there's something that gets sucked out of them. And we're not really 100% sure what it is. In conversation with Chris Carniello, we got into this quite a bit, and part of it, I think, it's not even a school thing. Like I didn't go to school, but I definitely feel like something has been sucked out of me compared to like 20 years ago or whatever. And I think part of it has to do with having too many questions answered. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain like just like what you said, Bubby was saying of like just go and do stuff. Just do stuff. You don't know what it is. Yes, I know I need to practice my scale. I know I need to practice this and that. But also just mess around because you're going to find something that you don't even know what it is. You know, like I don't know. Let's say you're practicing the altered scale, but then one day you're just messing around and something comes out and you don't know what it is. You know, and maybe it is actually the altered scale or whatever. But you know, you don't get into it naturally without just messing around. Anyway, so the small piece of advice that I can give is just like try not to lose the golden core, you know, that we all have because we're all like we love music and we're all into that, you know. But that's a tricky. I don't know. It's such a vague, nebulous kind of goal. But that's interesting that he kind of said that. It's also it kind of reminds me of like, so on the one hand, like not getting like I so what I take from what he said was, you know, sometimes we feel like, oh, I've told I have to do this, and then we start to like develop a negative association with practice or with our instrument. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, don't let other people define what you should or should not do to a certain degree, because obviously there are good things that we just have to sit down and practice. And just if something attracts you, if a certain sound attracts you, then just go and explore that sound. I think that's kind of what I take from it. And it's valuable. So talking about tips, I always ask people to kind of give us a little insight or give us some information about kind of what kind of information they would want to pass on to others. Do you have some tips that you would like to pass on?
Like the thing that I'm really working on right now is transcribing. So I would really encourage whoever's watching to transcribe. I really like, one thing I would do a lot before when I first started transcribing is just like write it down. But that was my forte, whilst like my like chops on my instrument weren't up to par for me to really play what I would transcribe. Like an example of this is that I actually last year I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn the giant step solo. And I transcribed it in like 45 minutes. It really didn't take me a lot of time to write it down. But then like I still don't know it on my instrument.
Right.
Because like I don't, I need to get into actual real nits and bits of like my playing. So yeah, that's like one thing. I'm all that to say, like, to transcribe as a means to work on your weaknesses and to really like hear what you love. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, like when I transcribe things I don't really like, it doesn't come through. So
Right.
it's better
right,
to
right.
like really transcribe something that you're attracted to, whether it be a line, anything. Like that's
Mhm.
really my tip and advice.
I'm kind of have two minds about that. I mean, I definitely am totally in agreement about transcription and just in general playing by ear and figuring things out by ear. I think your point of like, make sure you get it under your fingers is really key, because it's like, it's one thing, like if you want to just understand it intellectually, that's cool. But really that's almost more of a composer thing or a theoreticist thing, you know, but if you want to actually play, well, you got to be able to play it, you know? But oh man, I lost myself on that little rant. What I was going to say was something related to oh yeah. So you're saying like not necessarily transcribing things you don't like, or at least right now not doing that. I guess I used to agree with you completely. I used to be like I would only transcribe like my main idols, and I had a very narrow view of like what I was interested in. But as time goes on, I realized more and more that like my fundamentals need a lot more work, and so I've gone back to not that I'm transcribing people I hate or something like that, but like I'm transcribing people that are not like my main guy, but I really need to understand like what this language is and how this works, and I have to go to like not the person that extrapolated 10 steps later, but like go back to that first guy, you know. Yeah, and it's like what you were talking about, being influenced by Thundercat, but also Buster Williams and Ron Carter and all this, and it's like amazing, you know. You're going kind of like all over the thing, and it reminds me of this one. I remember reading an interview, I think it was with Branford Marsalis, and he was talking about how his dad was always giving him shit for giving him poop. He's always giving him, I don't know what I'm saying, it's my stream, I can say whatever the hell I want, but always giving a hard time because he was only interested in like more modern playing and not really interested in stuff further back in the tradition, and apparently what Ellis had said to Branford was, I mean, you know, all these stories, who knows how true they are, but supposedly he said like, you can't know what you like and what you don't like if you don't know all of the music. And I was like, that's amazing, you know? And especially like, you know, there's so much more music to check out now. Like the more we go back and the more we find stuff, like, oh my God, this, I don't know, Louis Armstrong or whatever, it's a freaking genius. It's unbelievable, you know? So like, I think there's also the thing of like, just having difficulty listening to older recordings because of the quality, you know, and missing that there's some crazy music going on there, you know? But anyway, I just wanted to support your statement that I think transcription is totally on point. So you said, like, for example, you transcribe Jan Steps in like 45 minutes, which I think is amazing. I don't think I could do that. So tell me a little bit about like ears and ear training. Do you have perfect pitch? I guess that's my first question. And how has that helped you or not? And how have you worked on developing your ears further? Actually, you know what? Before you answer that, so I want to mention one thing. I believe it was the last time that you played at Cypher, but I'm not positive. We have been having problems with our bass amp for the last little while. And the week before, we had some issues and whatever. So we start playing the set, and I wasn't sure if there were issues or not because I'm getting the bass in my return, and I didn't know what was going on. And then after the set, I went up to Marie-Ketely, and I said, were you able to hear yourself? And she was like, not at all. And you played the entire set without being able to hear yourself. But because your ears and your sense of where the notes are is so strong, you could barely anyway, it just totally blew me away. So all of those stories said, tell me a little bit about ears and ear training and playing by ear and all this kind of thing.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start. Yeah, I do have perfect pitch, but it's not like a super power, you know. I don't think, like, especially in jazz, you know, it's not like a free pass. It's really not.
Absolutely.
But once again, for transcribing though, like, it really helps to get things like right away and to, you know, transcribe like fast and that kind of thing. But for each ear training, like, and more in relation to like transcribing, once again, it's like I would get the thing, but it was really transferring into my instrument. So the way I see it, you know, it's like really using whatever ability I have with my ears, but using it for my instrument. And yeah, like I guess that's really all I'd have to say. And for ear training, I mean, I'm still working on it because I mean, I've been like, honestly, like in my younger days, it was really like major, minor, dominant 7, like diminished and augmented chord. That's the classical training. That's all they do, you know?
Right.
But like in jazz, you really had to like develop these colors. And the thing that I feel I haven't mastered yet is really like concretely differentiating colors, like, you know, major 7 and minor 7 and like all 12 keys. Because to me, they just, I keep feeling them. Like I feel them a lot, you know, and I get them, but I don't like, it's not like it's not as like major, minor. It's not the same way that I see major and minor triads.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm not totally sure. So when you say you feel them, but well, so yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean that you sort of like you're like, do you feel a specific feeling when you, I guess what you're saying is that maybe the color of the chord does not, like, you can't be like, or I'm not sure what you're saying actually. So
like theoretically I understand it, you know, like if you play it, I'm like, oh, I know what's going to, I hear it, like I know what it is, you know, but it's not as concrete as like happy chord and like sad
right,
chord
sure,
that like a major minor chord has, you know. But I do understand it. Like I do know, like I'm not gonna be like, oh my goodness, I'm not guessing what's going on.
Right.
It's just like it's like a bit here, but it needs to be here, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like if somebody plays like a I don't know, a 5-note chord or something, like you can tell us what the notes are because you have perfect pitch, but you can't, but you wouldn't immediately go, oh, it's a C major 7 with a sharp 5 or whatever. Like you'd have to first spell the notes and then like translate it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I could do it, but it's not like 10 on 10 every single time.
Sure.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So I would say like that's really I would say like as a person with perfect pitch, that's something like that I have, like I kind of have to turn off my perfect pitch to just hear a chord as like a chord rather than like, oh, do mi sol si, you know, as like individual notes and then theoretically put them together. Okay, that makes this chord, you know?
I see. So you hear the individual notes. I see. So it's because I don't have perfect pitch, so I don't know what, you know, what the feeling is like. So so you really hear like the individual pitches, and then you can translate them into theoretically what we're talking about, as opposed to like as opposed to knowing like always what like a dominant 7 flat 9 sharp 5 sounds like. You know what I mean? So like it's not like you can hear that sound and then just like, well, I know it's that sound, but I don't know what the root is, which would be somebody like me who doesn't have perfect pitch, but I can tell like the colors and stuff like that. But yours is like the opposite. You can tell the individual notes, but you don't always know the exact colors and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's really the thing I'm working on. So yeah.
So when you said like you kind of turn off your perfect pitch, so that's to kind of like focus on the sound of the shape as a total? Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so yeah, wow. I should have more conversations with people with perfect pitch because I don't know anything about this. Okay, so you know, I mean, I do know a few people with perfect pitch, and they have mentioned that. So actually, are there ways other than that, other than the ear training, are there other ways in which perfect pitch, like if you hear a tune that's like slightly detuned? Actually, this kind of is a good transition. So, do you have the kind of perfect pitch where you can tell like when something is off of A440?
So I used to not have that, but it started coming in when I started playing upright. Because like I always have to be, you know. Right. And then now, like I guess I don't know how like specific I am, but I know that like when it's out of tune, it hurts me. Like it physically hurts to play it out of tune.
Right. But you are talking about out of tune relative to, like, you know, like let's say, yeah, exactly. So what I mean is that if you now heard music, so I'm going to pull out an image here because I know that this was, well, first of all, this is an incredible artist. I'm pulling out a photo. I don't know if you can see it on your screen. Oh, I actually made a little mistake here. That's why you can't see this stuff. I'm just going to fix this up for a second. There we go. So you hopefully now should be able to see a gig that you did with Marie-Ketely Gomes. Right over here is right in the corner there. I'm trying to kind of zoom in a little bit. And I know that Malika does not use A440 tuning. So did you find that gig very difficult because of that, or were you able to just kind of adapt, or like how did that affect you?
That's crazy. I actually didn't know that in the gigs she didn't use A440 tuning.
I believe so, because I know I spoke with Jean-Michel at some. Or no, what happened was that Jean-Michel was at the Cypher, and he was in the house band, and then I think the DJ started playing a Malika tune, and so he switched to like his preset that he uses in the show and started playing along. But then David came up to jam, and David didn't change the piano setting, and we started playing together as a band, and everyone was confused because everyone was like, I'm out of tune with him for some. We couldn't figure out what was going on, and he didn't know either. Anyway, so I do believe that she uses it, but I guess maybe this gig might have happened before you started to have those that
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It did way before. So I actually remember like at that gig, like Micah gave me such an amazing opportunity. Like it was a huge learning experience to perform with her, but especially like having to be on pitch all the time. That's one thing I remember from that gig is like really having to be pitch perfect, because she has very how do I say, like harmony is that friction a lot, you know, like a lot of tight semitones and a lot of tight harmonies, you know, so you have to be on point, you know. I remember like not being on point for the little first while, you know, and really having to, you know, step it up as quickly as I could. So yeah, that was a great learning experience.
Yes, and it was part of the Community Music Week, I think in 2018, and you also perform with Community. And I'm gonna see here if I can pull out something else for you to give us some. Actually, it's sort of in. I think this is in line with that. So, give us a little background on this. What is going on here? Hold on a second. Let me just play this on the screen. So, actually, I don't think I can have the audio because it might be copyright, and I don't want the whole stream to go down. So, tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about what's going on in here.
I have no idea.
Oh, you don't know? Okay.
I actually have no idea.
I think this was from a CKUT interview to promote Community Music Week. Is that possible?
Yes, that's possible. I remember the interview. I was talking about like the moment. I don't really know what's happening in that moment.
Right.
But yeah, I do remember this is an interview. Yeah, like that's that. I didn't really say much. I think she asked me like one question. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I remember talking about being a sponge and absorbing information. That's it. That's all I could say.
Okay. So in terms of, so we've talked a little bit about like where you're coming from, influences and all this kind of thing. I guess where I'm curious to, and I'll also mention again, if anybody's joining the stream just now, feel free to throw some questions down below. I will be glad to ask Marie-Ketely any questions. But my question is more, I guess, like, I don't really know much about you as a individual artist, in the sense that I know that you've performed with Theo, you've performed obviously with Urban Science, Community, all this kind of stuff. Is there, like, I guess multiple questions here. One is, are you writing tunes yourself? Are the things that you've written? Are you planning on having a solo project at some point? What are you planning, or what do you want to get out of going to school, and where do you want to go afterwards? Like all those kind of future questions.
Yeah, so I definitely want a solo project. I actually was gonna perform my solo project before, like in May, but then Corona virus happened, so that was canceled. But yeah, I have like have a lot of tunes like ready to be played and stuff. Like I have like a concrete project in mind. But I'm also, like, as I'm learning, I'm adjusting my vision. And yeah, I just like right now, like yes.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, is it a jazz project, or is it a different kind of music, or
Definitely jazz. Definitely jazz. Like I can't really say like, I mean, it has all the elements of jazz that I can think of. But I also feel that like going to school and learning, or like everything I'm trying to get out of school, which is really the tradition. So, bebop, straight up, like honestly, all of that is something that I want to be really rooted in. Because I really do want to pursue this music seriously. And that's something I realized with like electric bass, is that the more as I would go on, I wanted to go back, and I really wanted to that's what brought me to learn upright. And I feel that upright really feed my electric bass playing, and vice versa. Like it feels fuller, it feels more concrete, and more how do I say this? It feels more concrete. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I borrowed an upright bass from a friend many years ago, and I was like, oh my god, if I wasn't a saxophone player, I would totally play this. I think it's well, I always loved bass line, like good bass lines, and I think also the physicality of the instrument. You know what I mean? Like it's like you feel the music in you because of how the instrument works. And I totally threw my back out after like playing it for too long and with bad technique, probably. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know if you've had that experience, but it's a really physically, like upright bass is a really physically demanding instrument. What are some of the, on a technical level, like what are the either difficulties or advantages between electric and upright that you find?
I mean, it might sound weird. First off, I will start with like carrying, like electric bass
say that
actually hurts. Carrying, like travel,
right.
Electric bass hurts my back more than upright bass. Upright bass is kind of easier to carry in a way. It's a bit more like, I guess, embarrassing in a way, because like it's a big instrument.
Right, it's bulky.
But it's really easy. It's kind of like a car with like a wheel. You just go. But electric bass is like they haven't really made like cases that are suited for like a female body.
Okay.
So it kind of hurts a lot, and I've had like a lot of people who play electric bass tell me that as well. So that would be the downside in terms of like physicality, the person I think of.
So and Mono, then, if Mono is out there watching this live stream, we've got an artist endorsement waiting to happen. Make the make the special bass case. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No, for real though, because my bass case got damaged really quickly, like after a few months, because it's just like I don't know how to fit it properly, but it protects my bass, so I'm also down with that. But then electric bass doesn't need a lot of like physical maintaining in terms of like muscle building, if I could say. Sure. Whereas upright, like I can't not play it ever. I have to play it every single day nonstop. Right. Because I will either lose my calluses, but honestly for me it's like muscle strength. Cause like, my hands need to, like there's a muscle in my hand that's like being built. So that's the difference. Like I can't afford to not play upright at all. Like at all. So,
it would disappear. It's like, those instruments like trumpet and trombone and stuff like that. Like if you don't play one day, you will feel it. You definitely will. And the callus thing is unquestionable. I mean, from my very limited, I'm not a bass player. I'm not trying to say anything about that. But for me, like one of the big things that made me appreciate electric bass more is that like the cutting a note off is so important. You know what I mean? Like just in terms of like I would play and I'm like, why does this sound like shit? Well, because I can't play bass, that's why. But also because like the notes are just like ringing forever, and it made me think about adapting the length of my notes like on saxophone and on piano or whatever, you know what I mean? Just thinking about the importance of that. Whereas I feel like on upright bass, you can kind of just let the notes ring. Well, definitely in jazz playing, you can, to a certain degree, it's less important. But they're definitely different instruments with different difficulties, different challenges. That's the word I'm looking for. Different challenges.
For sure.
So let me. I'm just also keeping track of the time here. I don't want to. Marie-Ketely can't stay on for too late tonight, so I will again mention that if you have questions, now is definitely the time to get into them. So maybe I will get into just a totally different subject matter. Yes, I know. I'm gonna ask you to give me a little background on this. Is really a question about a hashtag, but I'm gonna play this video and ask you to tell me about it.
We in this bitch finna get crunk. Eyebrows on fleek. The fuck.
So tell me about hashtag finna get crunk.
Wow,
Because it's on all of your Instagram, or it was at some point.
Yeah, it was. That was really a mood. I don't have much else to say. Like, it's really, like she said it, it's a mood. It's a vibe.
The funny thing is I've seen interviews with her since. I mean, you know, all these people that go viral, and you know, there's all these interviews of like whatever. But it is a mood. It's totally, it captures a thing. Is there a specific reason why you were tagging everything with Finna Get Crunk for a while? It was just like that's the feeling you were feeling.
Yeah, it's really that. I remember it was actually when I first got started my Instagram, because I had one before, but then I deleted it and I went back on, and I was in that vibe. And I remember like April, I think that was April last year, and that was just the vibe. I don't even. The thing is, like this was on Vine, so I remembered it from way back. I didn't even remember the video, but I just knew that, and I remembered like just being like, that was just my mood. That's it.
That was your thing. So let me see. I have so many. So I mean, you have so many different interests and things. I was very happy to read in your pre-interview that you were into food as well as hair, but food was one of the things. So my question, I love to eat. So my question is between a salade de couscous and banane glacée style Reese's, which one is your favorite?
Banane glacée.
That is it? That is it? Do you know what I'm referring to, or?
No. Oh! Oh, you really found everything.
I looked. I did some research. So
you know, I never watched the video.
Unfortunately, I can't play the video. I don't know. La Presse, if you're watching this, your app sucks. Your website sucks. I cannot figure out how to get this stuff to work. I downloaded that app a bunch of times and tried to get it. I was like, this doesn't work at all.
Really?
I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this and maybe transition to your love of food and favorite foods and all this kind of thing.
Well, this wasn't really like linked to my love of food, but there was definitely something I kept in mind for, like, you know, food inspiration.
So was this like a school project or something, or?
No, not at all. It was just one of my friends, like her mom works in like makeup for photography and stuff, things like that. Okay. And in high school, and she just asked me if I wanted to be like making these foods, like doing a recipe thing for La Presse.
Nice.
That was gonna be on their app, and I was just like, yeah, sure. And then we just did it, and we ate it, and it was good. Yeah.
So
the second.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I don't remember the second food because I guess it wasn't really good.
The second one was this salade de couscous.
No, it was actually good. It was actually good. I see the sweet potatoes. Yeah, no, that got me.
So what are your favorite? I guess I'll ask, what are your favorite foods, and then also, do you have favorite restaurants, or are you more of a cook, or any of those questions?
Okay, my favorite food. I love ramen. Like, I absolutely love ramen.
God. We are gonna bond on this anyway. Do you have a are you talking about ramen in a restaurant, or are you talking about ramen in a package, or both?
Wow, like both. My sister and I, we really like making our packaged ramens fancy, especially her. I don't really have the patience, but I still enjoy it. But I love restaurant ramens. I think they are, like, I love the broth, but I haven't found like an ultimate favorite yet.
Do
So I'm also, yeah.
Do you have favorite? Or which are your favorite restaurants? Have you been to? Oh man, I can't remember the name right now. Not. What was it called? Well, do you have a favorite restaurant before I blank on the name?
For ramen, I haven't. I mean, I haven't found one like for Japanese ramen, but I remember my sister bringing me to this place called. I also forgot the name. It's like Korean ramen.
Okay.
It's on Pendant here. It's like very secretive, like secret spot.
Is it Otto?
No.
No. Okay.
No. But it was really good. Very good Korean ramen. I know they put cheese in it. But I didn't want cheese in it. But yeah, that was like definitely my favorite one. Other than that, I really like I don't really like food from the outside that much. I'm more like getting into cooking.
Right.
Because I love food from the outside, but once I started cooking, I realized, oh wait, it's actually not that great. So
you can make it better.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we do have a question from Stefan, but before I get to his, I'll ask in terms of ramen. Do you like spicy ramen?
Yeah, I like everything spicy.
Okay, so you mentioned that you were like, I'm not gonna have cheese with my ramen. So I thought that was nuts, like having cheese on ramen. But there's a Korean friend of mine that made me basically try like really spicy Korean ramen, but with a slice of Kraft cheese on top. And I was like, exactly, the face you just made is exactly the face I made. I was like, that sounds idiotic. Like, what? That's stupid. It's amazing. It's insanely amazing because like some of those spicy ramens are like killer spicy, like that you practically can't like finish it, and the cheese like it kind of thickens the broth a little bit, and it also like neutralizes the spice, and it makes it all I say is try it once. Maybe you won't like it, that's fine, but check it out. I've also been noticing, like maybe not so much lately, but when confinement began, I noticed a lot of people posting, oh, I'm having ramen for dinner and whatever, and I'm like, man, ramen for dinner can be amazing. Like if you like take a second and you get some better stuff. So speaking on that subject, I guess it's kind of like, what are your favorite ramen brands? And Stefan Krims also asks, have you ever had Indomie noodles?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I actually did.
They're good, by the way.
Yeah, they're so good. My friend had made some for me, and she made it like a whole vibe. It was like that with Coca-Cola, and I was like, okay, and it was really good.
In the broth?
No,
no, I don't know, man.
No.
Because I just saw this other YouTube video where somebody makes it, instead of using water, they use milk. And apparently, again, I haven't tried it, but the guy's Korean, so I'm like, they must know what they're doing, you know what I mean?
You trust it.
I do trust it. But anyway, sorry. So Coke, that's why when he said Coke, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. But I also have that vibe where I'm really down to try a lot of things, but that ends up me like having a lot of like failures, with what I like and what I don't like.
Right.
But it was just like a Coke on the side. It was just like a vibe. But for ramen that I like, there's like this Ichiban. Ichiban.
Yeah,
Ichiban, I don't know if you know it. It's just like, yeah, like that's the only one. I also like with my neighborhood, I don't think I have the fanciest ramens. I've seen like YouTube videos on like these crazy ramens, but in my neighborhood, I live in the plateau. Like the best one is Ichiban. It's also the one that always runs out. But that's the one.
You got to go to like Brossard or something to get all the crazy, the crazy options. Or actually, even near Concordia has a ton of Chinese grocery stores with a ton of options. I really feel like I should put out a post on my social media just in terms of like some great brands, because there's some. I mean, whatever. I discovered like this one like laksa, which is like a Malaysian. It's a mix of like curry and like, I mean, there's different kinds. Like I'm no expert. I probably am saying some things wrong about how this thing works, but it's really good as in terms of like a packaged ramen. And then there's like from that same brand, they have like a dry ramen, so it's not a soup noodle. It's just like noodles that you would eat with sauce kind of thing, and it has like a crab chili sauce. That is like, oh my God, it's killer. Anyway, so I recommend it. Stefan Krims says, how you felt about Kraft ramen is how I felt about butter chicken poutine when NYF first came out with it. NYF, I'm not sure what that is. I feel like I know. what that is, but I'm not sure. There was an Indian restaurant that did a. Oh wait, is it NYF? What was it called? But there was an Indian restaurant right on St-Laurent that did a killer like curry. No, it wasn't a butter chicken. It was a curry he puts in.
Okay.
Damn. Anyway, whatever. This is not an interesting conversation if neither of us remember what it is. So whatever. But okay. So those are some of your favorite foods. And the ramen place that I was thinking of, which I have not been to yet, but apparently is amazing, is Yokato Yokabai. Yokato Yokabai ramen, which is in the plateau. It's on Drolet.
Okay.
So go check it out. I don't know. I haven't been, but I've heard that it's amazing. So let's keep. I know that we're running out of time here. I want to get onto another subject or another couple of subjects, maybe if I can. So I guess I'll ask you a little bit. Tell me. Oh wait, hold on. We've got a follow-up question here. New York Fries, fast food chain mostly in Western Canada. Haven't been able to find it out east. Okay. So NYF. That's what that was. That Stefan had seen that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you about a totally different question, one that doesn't really affect me so much, but it's about Ketely curls. Can you tell me about your passion for hair? Can you tell me about this, your YouTube channel, and all these good things?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's like really a side thing, but I really feel that, yeah, that's, yeah, that was my dream. Oh, by the way, shout out to Theo because he produced that beat that I used to like for the
your
intro.
Your theme song.
Yeah, my theme song. But actually, I'm not gonna use it anymore. But it was good for like the beginning.
Right.
But yeah, it's really that like Afro textured hair has been like really looked down upon for a really long time, and it's only starting now to surface as like an acceptable like form of natural hair, you know. So and I've also over the years have learned so much about my own hair. And I feel that I have a responsibility as a Black woman to share my knowledge. So that's really why I started this channel.
So you've kind of, you know, I noticed right away. Oh, here we go. So we've got the lavender. So I figured what might be interesting is I'm going to do this in real time. So I've got this lavender here. I'm going to shove this on my head, and let's just see whether there's any.
Nice.
There's any results.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh my God! Instant results. I don't know if you can see this, but I think everyone has got to go to Ketely Curls and check this out. My mind is blown right now. It really.
Wow,
okay, I'm just messing around. But I had. Oh, I forgot. I was also gonna slip on a fake beard at the same time, but I messed it up. Anyway,
nice.
But do check. But do check it. I didn't know about this at all. That you had this whole kind of other interest and spreading the solutions that you have found. Or not solutions, but the techniques that you have found, that are working for your hair. It's a very interesting subject, which sadly I have not had a lot of experience in, but that's a whole other separate issue.
Right.
All right, so I think what I'd like to do, because I know we're again running out of time, so maybe we'll just end on a little. Or is there any other subject that you would like to get into particularly? Before I pick something out of the hat?
Not specifically. I'd like to listen to what you have to say.
Oh Jesus! I have nothing interesting to say. Never ask for me. I'm the worst. But let's see here. Because there's so many. But we did kind of get into a lot of different topics, maybe briefly. Actually, this might be a good one. So let me ask you. And also, if you're like reaching the limit, just tell me like I gotta go, and I'll wrap it up right away.
Okay.
So don't be afraid.
We're so good. Yeah.
All right. So I guess my question is, what is the best advice and or worst advice you've ever heard, either to yourself or to somebody else? Let's start with that.
Okay, the best, like in life or for music?
I guess, I mean, it could be life, it could be music, it could be, whatever. I mean, these questions that I brainstormed were mostly musically oriented, but the reality is we can go in any direction,
Wow, that's such like I really didn't really think of that. Um, I'm gonna start with the worst advice,
Sure.
but I don't think these are like I don't really remember people giving me like bad advice, like people giving me bad advice. But I would say like just in general, it's not good to do something you don't like. Like I think that's like people telling me to do things that are in my comfort zone because I have more chances like in their head of like, you know, being successful at whatever, like, you know, music, for example. Um, I don't know if that makes sense.
I'm not 100% sure I follow.
Okay. More like have like people asking me or not asking people telling me to, like people have told me not to follow, my path in music, whether it be directly or indirectly. That was definitely like the worst advice I got, you know. And it wasn't people straight up telling me, oh yeah, don't do this, you know. But more so like indirect forms of like discouragement. I guess that could be seen as like my worst advice. And then best advice is just to best advice.
Well, while you think about that for a little, I just want to mention, like, I think this is something that has also come up in a couple of interviews, in the sense of like, you know, like I didn't start as like music was not always the thing that I was doing. I have a whole previous life as a software. Anyway, it's a whole long story. We don't need to get into this right now. But making that switch into music, there was a lot of questions of like, does this make sense as a thing? And, you know, definitely some people saying don't do it, and some people saying that it's a good idea and whatever. I think that the path of being, whether it's an entrepreneur or an artist, because I think both are actually the same thing, like you have to create your own jobs and all this sort of thing, is constant rejection. You know, like that's the path. Like whether it's, you know, it's like, it's just like not getting this grant or not getting into this school or not getting whatever. It's like your whole life is that. And that's what it's going to be. And it doesn't mean that you suck. It just means you didn't get that one particular specific thing, and work on whatever's lacking and just move to, you know, or maybe it's not lacking thing. Maybe it's just a matter of funds or what, you know, whatever those other reasons could be. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of echo that it's like, that's music, constant rejection, you know?
I really agree with that.
But anyway, sorry, you were thinking about your, sorry, go ahead.
Constant rejection I think is like I mean, that's like in parallel to what you were saying, is like something that easily discourages people, I find. But I think it's also like the best, rejection, whether it be like in any way possible, is like the best learning experience. And it like, well, personally, and like for me, it has really helped me focus what I really focus on, like narrow down what I really, really want to do. But the best advice that like I've ever gotten was to take care of the music, and the music will take care of you. That's really what I like am going by. So
that makes sense. We got to believe in something, and if it isn't music, I don't know why. Then why are we doing music? You know, you know what I mean? You got to believe in music,
right?
Yeah. I guess kind of sort of I sort of asked this earlier, but I guess I want a little bit more clarity, which is just like I guess what are your longer, like post assuming you finish your McGill degree and whatever, like are you thinking of continuing, like doing more, like doing a master's degree or something like that, or are you wanting to become like or have you even thought about like whether you want to be a professional player or more of a teacher, or do like, I don't know, composition? What have you thought in terms of that?
I really 100% want to be a professional player.
Okay.
100%. So that's that. So that's really why I think that's why, therefore, I really stand by focusing on the music and focusing on my craft. And that doesn't mean rejecting like any other thing, like, you know, everything that's around, because there's so much that you need to know as a musician, you know. But my main focus, like thing I really am focused on right now, and I want to keep doing, for like, especially during my degree and my, my education is like mastering both my instruments. That's really what I'm focusing on right now.
When you say both your instruments, because you play so many, which do you consider your principal instruments at this point? No, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Well, my instruments, as in electric bass and upright bass.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I wasn't sure if it was like voice or or if you were coming back to piano. I don't know. You play too many instruments. Okay, it's not fair.
I know. But yeah, like definitely upright electric bass, and I'm obviously gonna keep singing. Like I'm always gonna keep doing that. But I really want to master these instruments because I see, especially for upright bass, like there's I feel like there's really a lineage and that there's like a standard to be met, and I want to meet that standard. So yeah.
So sort of on that subject, and maybe this, I'm just trying to figure out what the last question should be. I guess so. Are you? I guess my multi-part question. So first, if you want to be a professional player, are you? First of all, are you planning on staying in Montreal? Are you thinking about moving elsewhere? Because of course, there's this sort of limited. Well, actually, I shouldn't answer the question myself. What are your thoughts on the Montreal scene and playing opportunities in the Montreal scene? Do you want to stay here in terms of making your base, or is it kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go to New York, or what? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I want to stay here. I definitely want to stay here, but I also want to go to the States and like either study or just stay in the States. I absolutely want to have that experience. But I want to build something here, absolutely. Like I'm not trying to do a permanent leave, but you know, like I don't know what's gonna happen with time. But as of now, I want to stay in Montreal. I definitely think that Montreal has a lot to offer. Especially as somebody who's just like is starting out, I have so much to learn, but all that with the goal of going to New York eventually. And
So there you have it. That's the future that Marie-Ketely has in store for herself. I think I'm gonna wrap it up because we're getting a little bit late. But Marie-Ketely, thank you so much for being on the show. I don't know what the hell I'm full of myself. Anyway, I don't know. It's just me. I mean, I'm in my basement like with my computer. This is not a show. This is like whatever. Anyway, I guess every show is like this now. But if there are any last questions, we'll take any last questions if you have them. But if not, I just want to thank once again Marie-Ketely for being here, watching your development as as an artist. I mean, the term artist is such a like loaded term. I mean, but it is partly artist, but also just the nuts and bolts. You know, we're talking about technique and artistry as kind of two different things, which they kind of are. And just seeing that progress, it's been really amazing. And just getting to know a little bit more about your where you've come from and your life and all this. It's been a pleasure. So thank you very much, Marie-Ketely. I believe, I can't even remember what our schedule is for next week, but I believe we have... Oh, John Arsenault just commented, Ketely Curls. Okay, so shout out to Ketely Curls. Actually, I'll just put this on the stream so that people can see it. There's also an Instagram over here, and also her like musician IG is Ketely World, which you should be able to see at the bottom of the screen as well. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you very much to Marie-Ketely for being there. And we have some more guests next week. I think we have, I'm gonna get it wrong, I think Shem might be our guest next week. I think so. I think Shem is our guest next week, and then we have Anomaly, which is going to be a lot of fun getting back in content. Anomaly, and then I believe we have DJ Overflow at the end of the week. So please stay tuned with us. Once again, thank you. Oh. Stefan Krim said, LOL, the auto caption said, shout out to cats. So no, I'm not shouting out to cats. That's cool that they have auto captions. But anyway, I did not see that movie and I have no interest in seeing it. But anyway.
No.
But thank you very much for being there, and thank you for everyone for listening. Like I said, there's a little donation link down there. You can also get some merch. We have some masks, we have some shirts, we have all kinds of good stuff. So check it out. And of course, we hope to be back sometime playing in the real world, but who knows how long that's going to take. I have some thoughts about that, and I think I will be making a video about that separately. Anyway, that's a different thing. But I keep saying it. Thank you very much, Marie-Ketely, for being there. Have a great night. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you around next week.